Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. You are from MA Education, Leadership and Management with the course titled Instructional Leadership and Program Evaluation. This is Dr. Ijaz Ahmed Gupta with you. This is our week 7 and lecture 19, 20, 21 will be covered in this week. At the moment, we have to discuss the supervisor's role in organization. Therefore, let me share with you first what the supervision is. Typically, supervision is the activity carried out by supervisors to oversee the productivity and progress of employees who report directly to the supervisors. First level supervisors supervise entry-level employees. Managers supervise first-level supervisors. Let me discuss here in any of the organization. There are different levels and layers of employees and supervision. The bottom level workers are being supervised by any of the senior one among of them. He work as the first level supervisor. Accordingly, uh, different groups of likewise are being supervised by a senior supervisor, and so on. It goes up to the manager of the organization. Sometimes we say this, the first line management, second line management, and the senior management. Actually, the productivity of the workers and their progress is necessarily required some supervision to look after their pace of working and meeting the objectives of the organization. Therefore, it is very necessary for employees to be supervised directly by any of the person who is known as the supervisor, to whom they have to report directly. Any of the tasks assigned to any person have to be reported to someone that we have completed that. We can sort different types of examples among different institutions, organizations, and systems. So much so in the system of education at school level, we can see that there is a number of auxiliary staff that includes sweeper, gardener, runner, gatekeeper, security guard, class assistant, so and so. So they have assigned different tasks to complete, and there must be someone to whom they have to report that they have completed their assigned task. So the assigned task is the objective of the organization for that particular day, and if it is met, then we can say that that organization, that school have completed their tasks of the day. So they are going very well and rapidly to meet their objectives. Accordingly, the second line of workers in any of the educational organizations might be considered its janitorial assistant or clerical staff. They have different duties. They have to collect fee, issue fee vouchers, collect application, leave applications, manage them, enter them on a register, keep the record of visitors, and other schedules of the day that might be relevant to the employee's salary, employee's performance, employee's tasks, and provision of the resources in time, and internal and external audit and budgets. So they are also under the supervision any of the senior among of them. That might be a head clerk, that might be a superintendent, that might be a bursar. And finally, these people are also being supervised by some another senior, that is the deputy headmaster, deputy principal, vice principal. Third layer of employees in any of the educational organization are the teachers. They have to follow the different certain schedules regarding teaching, regarding accomplishment of the tasks assigned to them, academics, towards co-curricular activities, towards the conduction of other programs. So they also have to report to their seniors that they have completed their task. On the basis of this sense, in different schools, there are section heads, there are deputy mistress, senior mistress. So all these people are looking after the pace of work and productivity and progress of the teachers of the day. And finally, they all, from auxiliary staff supervisor and clerical staff supervisor and academic staff supervisors, are bound to report their senior, their manager, that is school principal, that is school headmaster, headmistress, who is responsible for all of the ongoing activities to look and guide and advise and to manage that rather all of the three layers I discussed earlier going in the right direction, or all they working properly, and up to what extent the objectives of the organization have been met, what are the shortcomings to be cooped with some certain focus. So from his managing activities, from his managerial supervision, he guide them further, he appreciate them on the accomplishment of their tasks, and also he might scold the people who are not working properly. So the performance evaluation reports known as the PER and performance reports otherwise, credit and debit, both are on his or her behalf for the organization. So they do have to analyze and rank the people at what stage they are working. Either they are working in such a good gesture and good way that might be appreciated, or otherwise they might be guided to do more to meet the criteria, or if there are different difficulties, he or she is there to remove those hindrances and make sure the organization is working smoothly towards the accomplishment of the organizational goals. So that is all about the supervision. Let me share with you a major component of supervision in the schools is about the classroom, because have to teachers have to play their vital role towards the supervision of the students, towards their learning. So it's very crucial for them to hold supervision in such a manner that the class is managed and their disciples are working properly, and resultantly the learning has been taken place. If there is no learning, it means that there is sort of some shortcoming in supervision of the teachers. So they have to review their plans, and in the result of review, the loopholes have to be cooped with their efficiency. And finally, they have to manage the students to work properly, to learn, and their achievements finally shows that their results shows that they have learned, and that leads towards the successful supervision of the teachers in the classroom, as well as successful supervision of the supervisors at all levels. Last but not least, in this phase of supervision, the manager of the school is declared as a good manager, because under his supervision, all of the first and second level supervisors have played their part towards successful accomplishment of the goals of that organization. So this is all about the supervision. Moreover, if we say, if we discuss about a system above that individual institution, there is a system, like we say, the system of education. So there is also a senior supervisors who have to look after, who have to supervise the institutions. I would like to discuss here that in the regard of public sector education system, a considerable number of schools have to be supervised by the supervisor known as assistant education officer. When we say, when we are talking about the primary schools, and if we are going to consider elementary schools, again a reasonable number of schools, I think so. All of the public schools, elementary public schools, situated in a certain tehsil are supervised by a deputy district education officer. And at the level of district, comprising of all the tehsils, all of the elementary schools are being supervised by the district education officer elementary. So much so, these all have been further subdivided on the basis of gender. There are the supervisors designated the deputy district education officer elementary girls, meaning female, and for male separately. Accordingly, at secondary level, the secondary school located in the vicinity in the district accordingly are being supervised by another senior manager known as district education officer secondary. These both Uh, these all also separately supervised by the district education officers on the basis of gender, like district education officers secondary, male, district education secondary, female. Above all, the more senior manager at the district level is known as CEO, Chief Executive Education Officer. So this Chief Education Officer is responsible about all of the matters of education, whether they are primary, elementary, or secondary in the public schools as well as private schools in the particular district. So at district level, the senior most supervisor is CEO. So any of the district is comprised of any of the provinces comprised of the different districts. If I discuss about Punjab, what happened in Punjab? There are 36 districts. So all those 36 districts of the Punjab are also being supervised by a manager known as DPI, Director Public Inspection, Inspections Schools, who directly have to report the Secretary Education Schools. So this is the hierarchy from one school to the Minister of Education, because the Secretary Schools have to report the Minister of Education, School Education Department. And Minister is responsible to report the Chief Minister. Thus, the governance tree runs and being supervised from top management to bottom and bottom to top. Let me discuss here what is needed towards the supervision. As earlier I have discussed in detail about the school education department from school to the Minister of Education. You can see here in this diagram, there are three layers: lower management, middle management, and upper management. Lower management means technical skills, मिडल मैनेजमेंट HR रिलेशन स्किल्स, ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज, जिन्होंने लोगों को भर्ती करना होता है और उन्हें ट्रेन करना होता है. अपर मैनेजमेंट कंसेप्चुअल स्किल्स, दैट इज अबाउट द सेक्रेटरी लेवल. They have conceptually foresee the different types, things, and working situation, and they play their role towards the policy making and go for implementation top down. Once the policy is made, it is needed to be implemented. So top down hierarchy works towards implementation of that particular policy. What do supervisors do? Supervision of a group of employees often includes conducting basic management skills. Basic management skills are comprised of decision making, problem solving, planning, delegating, and meeting management. Decision making towards execution of the task, how to execute, when to execute, what resources are needed, and what is the process towards execution of the activity. This is about decision making. Problem solving. Supervisors are there to solve the problem of their supervisee, whatever whatever the nature of their problem, they are responsible to help them to solve that particular problem. Planning. They have to plan to set the target, to benchmark, and then after with the certain clarity of the goals and their planning and activities, they share with their juniors and authorize them to do the task in that certain time. When they are there to support their juniors, up to some extent, they have to delegate their powers, them to meet the needs of the situation. So delegation is very necessary in the process of supervision. It makes individuals and workers independent, and provide them ownership of the task, and they feel some energetic and authorized towards completion of the task. Meeting management. Meeting management mean the scope of the management उसको meet करना. तो supervisors मैनेजमेंट के स्कोप के अकॉर्डिंग अपना इनपुट देते हैं और उसकी जो हायरार्की है, जो उसकी नीड है, जो उसकी वैल्यू एडिशन है, उसको मीट करते हैं. Supervision of a group implies, number 2, that was the first. Number 1, organizing their department and teams within the organization. It is very necessary to decentralize the things. Therefore, they decentralize the organization in different departments and manage the teams. It's very interesting example at the university level I should share with you. When you use the word university, then it is the organization. Further, it is divided into different divisions, and division of science and technology, division of arts and social sciences, division of management sciences, division of education. So this is the decentralization in terms of the disciplines. If I consider the certain discipline, that is education, I must give example of the division of education. In division of education, there are 5 departments, and these departments have their chairperson: special education, educational policy planning and management, and teacher education, STEM education, so and so. So this is a reflective example of decentralization. The director of division is the chief supervisor, and the chairman of the department are further have to manage their own teams within the department to meet the needs of the department and to achieve the identified and set goals of that certain department. So likewise, you can see from top to bottom, it is decentralized to strengthen the workers of the organization and to reach the root level of support and authenticity and empowerment. Identifying and designing new roles. Supervisors are there always to make some novelty and currency in the system. They have to design the roles of the team and departments. Employee performance management. No doubt, when the employees are working, So their performance is needed to be recorded and be managed. Therefore, supervisors are there to manage the performance of the employees. Conforming to personal policies. Also, the personal policies of the organization are being confirmed by the supervisors. Discipline employees developmental. So employees development is very necessary towards their achievements and their roles, and it includes their personal development, their work development, their status development, their position development on the basis of their experience, on the basis of their workplace, and on the basis of their role play. So it's also the duty of the supervisor to do this in due course of time. Problem solving activity. How supervisors work for problem solving. In this activity, they identify and define a problem in the group and look at potential causes of the problem. क्या साउंड काजेज हैं जिनकी वजह से वो प्रॉब्लम बनी है. आइडेंटिफाई अल्टरनेटिव्स फॉर अप्रोचेस टू रिजॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम. एक्चुअली ये अगर आपको मैं एज ए स्टूडेंट कहूँ कि आपके एक ग्रुप में 5 का ग्रुप है, 10 का ग्रुप है, तो आप ये एक्टिविटी करें. जितनी क्लास है डिफरेंट ग्रुप में 5-5 के ग्रुप में आप तकसीम हो जाएं और प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग एक्टिविटी करें. तो आप इसको यूं कर सकते हो इन स्टेप्स में कि आप पहले आइडेंटिफाई करें, प्रॉब्लम को डिफाइन करें अपने ग्रुप के अंदर कि वो क्या है. द प्रॉब्लम माइट बी connection of classroom online classes, understanding of the classroom online classroom, and any of your problems relevant to the online classes. Then potential cause, वजह क्या है, किस वजह से ऐसा हुआ है. Identify alternatives or approaches to resolve the problem. तो आपने बेंचमार्क कर लिया, 5-7 तय कर ली कि ये पोटेंशियल काजेज हैं जिनकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम बने, और उसकी डिफरेंट अप्रोचेज होती हैं कि इनको कैसे सॉल्व करना है. उनमें से जो बेस्ट हैं एक का दूसरे का अल्टरनेटिव सेलेक्ट करना होता है कि अच्छा ये अप्रोच कामयाब रही तो ठीक, अदरवाइज ये कर लेंगे. सेलेक्ट एन अप्रोच टू रिजॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम. प्लान द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ द बेस्ट अल्टरनेटिव एक्शन प्लान. जो आपके पास अवेलेबल अल्टरनेटिव्स हैं उनमें से बेस्ट अल्टरनेटिव को यूज करें. दैट विल बी द एक्शन प्लान. वेज टू मॉनिटर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ द प्लान. जो आपने अल्टरनेटिव ढूंढा है उसको अप्लाई करना है, तो उसको मॉनिटर भी करना है कि क्या वो सही तौर पे इंजेक्ट हो रहा है. वेज टू वेरीफाई इफ द इंटरवेंशन रिजॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम. तो देखना है कि ये जो आपने इंटरवेंशन की है उसके अंदर इंडक्शन की है एक एक्टिविटी की जिसकी वजह से वो प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हुआ है, तो वो ठीक तरह से हुआ है, वेरीफाई करना है. प्लानिंग बेसिक स्ट्रीम्स. स्ट्रीम्स मीन डिफरेंट लेयर्स और डिफरेंट टाइप्स में आपने प्लान करना होता है. प्लानिंग टिपिकली इंक्लूड्स द यूज ऑफ फॉलोइंग बेसिक टर्म्स. इट इज नॉट क्रिटिकल टू ग्रास्प कंप्लीटली an accurate definition of each of the following terms. It is important for planners to have a basic sense of the goals, objectives, and the strategies and tasks. तो बेसिक नीड्स जो किसी भी प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने के लिए है वो प्लानिंग है. और प्लानिंग की जो बेसिक्स हैं कि उसमें क्या क्या होना चाहिए, उसमें बहुत ज़रूरी है कि प्लानिंग करने वालों को पता होना चाहिए, सेंस होनी चाहिए, बेसिक सेंस कि गोल्स क्या हैं, ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या हैं उस जिसके लिए वो प्लान कर रहे हैं, और कौन सी स्ट्रेटजीज होंगी टू वर्क टुवर्ड्स द टास्क ओरिएंटेशन. सो जब ये सारी चीज़ें मिल के एक साथ में अपनी बेस्ट इनपुट वो देंगे तो प्रॉब्लम जो है वो सॉल्व होगी. सो it's very necessary to be aware about the basics of the terminology regarding planning. Let's discuss what is the planning of goals, how we can plan the goals. Specific accomplishments that must be accomplished in total or in some combination in order to achieve some larger overall result preferred by the system. For example, the mission of an organization, strategies or activities, methods or processes required in total or in some combination to achieve the goals. तो हमें पता है कि स्पेसिफिक गोल्स जो हमने सेट किए हैं उनको अचीव करने के लिए किस तरह की एफर्ट्स चाहिए, क्या ओवरऑल हमें सिस्टम चाहिए जो अचीव करने में हमें सपोर्ट करे. तो उसके लिए एक मिशन स्टेटमेंट होती है जिसके अंदर हम एनलिस्ट कर लेते हैं डिफरेंट स्ट्रेटजीज ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कि हम ये स्टेप करेंगे, उसके बाद ये करेंगे, ये करेंगे, ये करेंगे, तो हम गोल अचीव कर लेंगे. सो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ डिफरेंट मेथड एंड प्रोसेसेस रिक्वायर्ड टुवर्ड्स इन टोटल, यानी जितने भी आपके पास वो हैं सब के कम्बिनेशन को आप अप्लाई करते हैं तो आप अपना गोल अचीव करते हैं. तो दैट इज ऑल अबाउट the supervision so far. The remaining part we will discuss in the next session.